All right, welcome everyone to the Confidence Code. Feel more confident, get more visible, and grow your business. So today we're talking about putting yourself out there online and in person, honestly, just getting visible in a way that helps to attract clients and attract people to come in and work with you. And this can be scary. In fact, it's one of the things that I hear the most from people when they're first getting started, and I definitely experienced this as well, where I really struggled with the visibility piece, and not just visibility, like just self-doubt and fear of putting myself out there, and what if I don't have what it takes, or what if I can't provide value, or what if people judge me, or they're putting me down online and things like this. And so it's scary to put yourself out there as a business owner and, maybe feel like I don't really like social media. I don't really want to post my whole life online, or I don't like being on camera. And it seems like these days you have to be on lives or reels or TikToks. And so I used to struggle with all of the above, and I've come such a long way in the last few years. In fact, I recently was like, wow, I really feel like it's time for me to kind of stretch myself to the next level in terms of putting myself out there, because whenever we are kind of in our comfort zones for a while, I feel like it's important to stretch, because stretching is where the growth happens. So I see some of you joining me live. I just want to make sure you can all see and hear me clearly. So go ahead and type in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And then what's your biggest challenge with confidence or lack of confidence or self-doubt? What are you struggling with right now? Is it showing up on social media? Is it not feeling confident in the value you provide? Like what made you want to come to this live today? Let me know in the comments so I can make sure to address the specific challenges that you are dealing with. So, and also just to let me know that you can see and hear me clearly and everything is working. All right, while I'm waiting, we're going to keep going. So, um, yeah, recently, like I said, I was really like, man, I feel like I need to be, or I get to be stretching myself to that next level. And it was funny because I was like, what would that be? Like, what would be the edgy thing for me at this point? And I had a hard time even thinking of what would be super like a stretch for me. And I'm still in the inquiry around that. I think for me, it has to do with like consistency around visibility and really showing up on a regular basis, because I've tended to have periods where I'm more visible and periods where I'm less visible. And then, I haven't been big into reels and TikToks and things like that. So we'll see. That may be something that's coming. But it was interesting because just a few years ago, anything that I'm doing today would have been so scary to me. And so it's really, really shifted and changed hugely. And I want to share what created that change. Like, why is it that, I went from, or how is it that I went from, terrified to put myself out there to now I'm on lives all the time, at least once a week, sometimes more. I'm posting very frequently in my business. I host events. I speak. I'm super, super visible. And that's a huge change, right? So that's the story I want to tell first, to really kind of share my experience. What was it that made the difference for me? Because I think that will really serve you too. So let's get some comments going though here. Are you with me? At least say, I hear you, I'm with you. That way I know we're not having any technical glitches here. Usually I get engagement here in the comments, and then we can make it really fun and interactive for you. So let me know that it's working, and then we'll get into the story here. Sometimes there's a big delay, so that might be what's going on here. All right. Hopefully I'm going to get at least an I'm with you here while you guys are listening. And otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking and pretending that it's working. So, and this is a good example of one of those moments, right? I'm on live. I see people are on live. I think they're listening. And it's like in the past, when I first got started, that would have been crippling to be like, oh my gosh, is it not working? Am I looking bad by not, I don't even know if the tech is working here. And now this gets to be an opportunity where I'm like, well, it's either working or it's not, right? I can keep asking and hopefully get a response or not. So imagine what it would feel like for you to have that kind of like relaxation around things to where you're putting yourself out there, but you're not really that stressed about what's landing, what's not landing, because you're, so confident and comfortable and relaxed around it. So that's what I want for you. So, all right, we're going to just keep going here. So, my story of going from self-doubt to confidence and the biggest lessons I learned along the way. I'm just going to put myself back in the shoes of where I was 5 years ago. And in fact, it was almost exactly 5 years ago that I had my turning point moment. Some of you know this story. I was in a career, very successful marketing career, burning out, not happy, not doing work that I loved. And I had this pull and this call to step into coaching, but I was terrified. In my previous career, I got to be behind the scenes. I didn't need to be out in front. I wasn't, I was helping other people grow their businesses behind the scenes, doing like the online marketing and the writing. And so I didn't really have to show up and put myself out there. And I was very successful at it, but I really had that deep down pull to something more. So some of you may be feeling that right now, or maybe you're already stepped into the work that you love. But what happens when you step into something that you love or something that's really close to your heart and soul, is there's a great author named Steven Pressfield that I love. He has a book called The War of Art, which many people have heard of, and another one called Turning Pro. And he talks about something called your shadow career. And your shadow career is something that is really close to the thing that you want to be doing, but not quite it. Close enough that you can feel like, convince yourself you're happy, but not quite the thing that's really on your heart and soul to do. And so that was online marketing for me. I was doing online marketing for coaches and speakers and authors and experts, when in reality, I wanted to be the coach or speaker or author or expert. And so, what do I want to share about that? What he says is that when you step into the work that really, really matters to you, that's really close to your heart and soul, then we experience resistance. We experience fear and doubt and, all of this energy that wants to hold us back. And it just seems to be the nature of going for something we love. I'm curious if any of you have experienced that like when you go out to do the thing you really, really love, that's close to your heart and soul, that you feel fear or resistance or procrastination or whatever it is for you. If so, say yes in the chat. Okay, we did get one comment here. Woo, Nina. Lovely to be with you again. I'm aware of massive changes in the world, i.e. my adoption background, not sure where to dive into each time I'm visible. I'm not sure what you mean by where to dive into each time I'm visible. Do you mean where in your story? If you could clarify that question just a little bit, Nina, I'm happy to answer it. So here I was, and I got clear that I wanted to step into coaching. And I had all this fear and all this self-doubt. And so some of the fears that I had, let me just remember here. Do I really have what it takes? Can I provide value for people? What if I enroll people in these programs and they pay money and they invest and it doesn't work? I remember going to my coach, my mentor, Gigi Sage, and saying, like, I don't want to put myself out there online, like, why do I need to share my life online? I'd rather just, hang out behind the scenes. I want to coach, I want to work with people, but I don't really want to get super visible. Like, do I have to do that? And, what if people judge me? What if it doesn't work? Like, these were just a few of the things that were coming up for me, and I'm curious if you guys can relate to any of this. Okay, Renee, awesome, thank you. Just started reading that book. That's amazing. Which one? War of Art or Turning Pro? Such a good book. So that's a great one in terms of, really helping you move through that resistance. And then that's also what we're going to talk about today. So I'm curious if you guys relate to any of those statements that I said just a moment ago. Say I relate in the chat. And Nina has a question here. What parts of my story do I dive into in my business? How much and when? Great question. I'll go ahead and answer that, and then we'll continue on with my story. So the parts of your story you dive into in your business, any and all of them. So basically you want to make a list of stories, like what are those key turning points in your history, and what were you struggling with? Because that's the stuff that's relatable to people, right? So If you just kind of make a list of those stories that you have, or as you're writing or as you're sharing, maybe one will come up spontaneously. And then those are great content for posts or, videos or, I'm not sure how you're sharing content, Nina, but how much? I mean, you don't want to have super long stories that are like pages and pages long unless you're writing a book. But I don't think it's really possible to share too many stories because people learn through stories. They relate to stories. And if you think about through history, we used to sit around the campfires, right? And that's how we pass down information through the generations, was through storytelling. We didn't have written history at one point, and so it was all through oral, telling stories. And so we remember much more when we hear it through a story versus when we just like learn content. So I hope that answers your question. And of course, you want to mix it in with other kinds of content where you're teaching something, or you're maybe sharing a client story, or things like that. But I don't really think that you can tell too many stories, if that makes sense. Okay, so back to fear, self-doubt, struggling with all of that, and not wanting to put myself out there. I went to my mentor. Some of you have heard this story. And I said, what do I do? Like, I'm feeling really stuck and blocked around this, and I'm not feeling super confident. And she said something to me that changed my life. It changed my experience, which was, McKenna, when you say all of this and when you're feeling that fear and self-doubt, where is your attention? She asked me. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, is your attention on yourself, or is your attention on the people you're here to serve? And I said, well, I guess it's on myself, right? And she said, yep, exactly. She was like, you need to get your attention off yourself, basically. She was like, get your attention off yourself and get it on to the people that you want to serve. If you believe there are people out there that are struggling with the thing that you have learned that you're great at, that you want to share with others through your experience, through your skills, through your gifts, then it's up to you to get out of your own way in order to be of service to them. Because otherwise, imagine the opposite, you guys. So I always say it this way, think about someone that you admire, that maybe you follow online, okay? And you've learned from them and you feel connected to them, even if they don't even know who you are, but it's like that person has changed your life. Or maybe it's an author. It doesn't even have to be online. Now imagine if that person had gotten stuck in their own fear and self-doubt and thinking like, well, what if I don't have what it takes, or I don't want to put myself out there? Imagine if they had let that keep them stuck and they hadn't overcome that to share what it is they're sharing in the world. Then where would that have left you? You would never have encountered their book, their posts, their workshops, whatever it is that you've engaged with of theirs, and your life wouldn't be changed in whatever ways that's changed your life. Do you guys get this? If you're getting it, say getting it. I really want to understand that this is landing for you, because this is so important, is getting out of our own way and not playing small, because when we play small, we're actually robbing those people that are out there of the opportunity to have their lives be impacted and changed by the work that you do, by the message that you share. Okay? So that is what the self-doubt switch is about. It's about getting your attention off yourself and onto the people that you're meant to serve so that you can show up in a much bigger way. Now, I understand that that's easier said than done, but it is possible to make that mental switch. And the more you make that mental switch, the easier it becomes. So this is something that I did a lot in the early days of putting myself out there. And the fear didn't just like stop, I still felt scared. I still felt terrified. I still felt like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to, right? But the other thing is I started to recognize that out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens. If we just stay in our comfort zone, we're not growing. And so this is not only an opportunity for you to be of service in a bigger way, but it's also an opportunity for you to grow beyond your comfort zone, beyond the things that you're like okay with, because the things you've done up to this point have gotten you the results you've gotten up to this point. Right? I'm going to say that again. The things you've done up to this point have gotten you the results you've gotten up to this point. In order to go to that next level, you've got to break through your comfort zone and go out of your comfort zone. How do you know you're going out of your comfort zone? Fear. I hate to say it, but fear, self-doubt, all that stuff, it shows up to try to keep you safe, to try to keep you where you're comfortable. And when you move outside of that a little bit, it's like, oh, holy crap, right? Like, oh, this is scary. And I started to go, oh, that's a sign I'm on the right track, right? That's a sign that I'm growing. Now, we'll talk about like, there's no one size fits all. It doesn't mean you have to go post on social media a ton or have to do whatever. There's lots of ways to grow your business, but you need to be growing out of your comfort zone. So Renee said, getting it, like get over yourself and so serve others. I like that. That's a very direct way of saying it, Renee. I just did a week-long training in the coaching I want to do. I would be nowhere without her. Amazing. So that right there, right? If she had played small and not shown up, then you would not be where you are, feeling, it sounds like, so much more clear and confident. So that's amazing. So this is what we're talking about here is like, you gotta like feel the fear and do it anyway, right? That's what people say a lot. And it's great to say that as a catchphrase, but you get to like go, okay, am I willing to do that? Am I willing to go out of my comfort zone? So if you're willing to do that, I want you to type I'm in the chat and really make a declaration right now that you are ready to stretch yourself in whatever way is right for you. So I want to touch on that a little bit, is that there's no one size fits all strategy. And, you know, like a lot of people say, oh, well, I hate social media. All right, well, I mean, social media is great and it's helpful, but you don't have to use social media to grow your business. If you're really, really like, it's not just that you're scared, you actually like really despise it, then there are other ways. Like, you know, I always say you don't have to post on social media to have a successful business. And that's a controversial statement in 2023. But I have clients who don't get any of their clients through social media. And yet they're earning 5K a month, 10K a month or more consistently. And so how are they doing that? Well, it starts by stretching out of your comfort zone, right? Like we talked about. And then it really starts with magnetism, what I call magnetism, okay? And that means, what are the things that you do that make you magnetic? So have you ever noticed when someone is doing something that it's like really either in their zone of genius or it's like fun for them, that they're magnetic? Like if you see someone speak on stage and you're like, wow, like I'm just so drawn to that person, or speak on a live video. If you see someone's photos and they're really in their magnetism, or, you know, whatever that is for you, what are those things that make you magnetic? And you might not know what they are yet. If you're not getting visible at all, then you might not even have any idea, because sometimes those things scare us at first, but then we discover we love them. Video is one of those things for me. I was never thought I was like big on creating videos. And then I, you know, started doing it consistently. And I was like, wow, this is really fun. I enjoy that, right? I wouldn't say it's one of my top magnetizers. I would say photo shoots is one of my top magnetizers. Speaking is one of my top magnetizers in front of a live group. And what else? Coaching, writing is definitely a magnetizer for me. So those are my top magnetizers. And I know that about myself. And so I find ways to do that more and more and more. And show up in visibility around the things that make me magnetic. So the key to your business growth isn't following what everyone else is doing. It's discovering your path to magnetize the clients you desire. And the more you do those things, the more fun you have, the more confident you'll feel, the more business you will attract. So go ahead and type in the chat, do you know what one of your magnetizers is? Nina says, out of comfort zone, do things while not confident. If you don't feel anxiety, worry, etc., you're not doing what's deep in your heart. Yeah, I wouldn't say you're not doing what's deep in your heart, but I would say you're not stretching yourself out of your comfort zone. So you could be doing something deep in your heart, and like coaching, let's say, that's probably very close to your heart, but no one might know that you coach, right? So it's like stretching out of your comfort zone to get visible and attract clients. Renee says, I'm ready. Awesome. So what is one of your magnetizers? Type that in the chat if you know. And if you're curious to dive deeper into all this, because there's, you know, we've talked about the self-doubt switch today. I told a little bit of my story. We talked about, you know, how to really make that mindset shift. And by the way, I used to do that before I would get on podcast interviews, before I would get on a live, before I would get up and do a speech. I would make that mental switch to focusing on the people I'm there to serve and really getting my attention off myself. And it made such a difference. And that's one little piece of the puzzle. There's so much more to this. So some other questions that would come up for me if someone was really struggling with confidence would be, what are the limiting beliefs and patterns that are holding you back, right? Do you have a certain repetitive thought, like people are going to judge me or something like that, that's holding you back? Are you 100% clear on your vision for your business? A vision that pulls you forward, that you're not just like, oh yeah, well, I want this, this, and this, but it doesn't really have any energy for you. Your vision needs to be so inspiring that it literally, like, you wake up every day so excited to make it happen, even when it scares you, right? Even when you're doing things that are out of your comfort zone. So are you 100% clear on your vision that pulls you forward? And then this is a really big one, you guys. Are you all in? Are you all in on your business? Like, really, if you had to say on a scale of 0 to 100, where 100 is like, I'm all in, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if it moves me out of my comfort zone, even if I have to go out and hire coaches or get support because I don't know how to do it, I am like 100% all in. And, or is there a little touch of you that's like 1 foot out the door? Like, well, I would be all in, but I'm not really 100% sure if this is the right business for me. Or, I would be all in, but I don't know, I'm scared that this, or this, right? So I want you to really take stock right now and ask yourself, am I 100% all in? Am I 100% clear on my vision that pulls me forward? Do I feel like I've cleared out the limiting beliefs and the patterns that are getting in my way? Or maybe you're just feeling tired and uninspired and you don't know why. So I want to first of all just normalize all of that. It's perfectly okay, because most people have some or all of the above showing up, especially at the earlier stages in business. But really at any stage when we're growing to that next level, that comes up. You guys, I wake up every day. I'm running a successful business, and not every day, but let's say, right now I'm about to launch a big program. And so I have fears come up and I have doubts come up, and I'm like, okay, I've got this big, plan, and I'm excited about it. But what if it doesn't work, right? I still have those fears and doubts come up, but I'm much more adept at moving through them quickly and not letting them slow me down. I stay in action anyway. I keep going for it. And so I'm hosting a free masterclass series in about a week and a half called Magnetize. And if any of the above that I mentioned sound like something that you may, be struggling with or still need some support around, the clarity of your vision, the limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, or the patterns holding you back, the maybe having a little bit 1 foot out the door, even if it's like 2% out the door, not feeling like you're 100% all in your business, or just feeling a little tired and uninspired, then this masterclass series, I would love to have you there. It's 100% free. It's www.magnetizemasterclass.com. I'm just going to put that down in the chat here so you can sign up. Would love to see you there, because there's only so much I can do in these like short weekly lives. I teach as much as I can in a short period of time, but this masterclass series is 3 live masterclasses over 3 days. So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're gonna do 90 minutes a day. So really intensive. We're gonna get in there. It's not a fluffy like, oh, I'm gonna, but teach a bunch of theory. Like, we're really gonna get in and workshop your business and your magnetism. It's a lot of mindset work to break you through those things that are slowing you down or keeping you stuck around the clarity and around the beliefs and all those other things we talked about, so you can step fully into magnetism, right? So that you can, throw out the marketing rule book and really find your unique path to attract more clients with ease and fun. And you'll be, in a tribe of people that are participating with you. We have a free Facebook group. And so you'll be able to ask questions in between and connect with other people all around the world. My goal is 333 people in this masterclass. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. I think we're at like 41 so far. So please come, please invite your friends. And this is one of those things, like, I'm stretching out of my comfort zone to be of service in a bigger way. And I would love, love, love to have you there. It's really like that next piece of what we're talking about today around confidence, getting visible, putting yourself out there, and really just feeling like it's full steam ahead, you know, like you're like, okay, I'm crystal clear, I'm excited, I have a lot more confidence, I know my next steps. Like that's how I want you to feel at the end of this masterclass series versus like little bit like struggling, you know, oh, well, I feel pretty clear, but I'm still struggling with this. Nina says, I'd love to do it, but time doesn't allow. Do you mean you can't make it to the live sessions, Nina? So they are, you don't have to come to them live. That's one thing. So if you can't make it to the live sessions, you can watch the replays. And I recommend watching them like as quickly as you can, maybe later that evening or something, so you can keep up to speed with the masterclass. So I think you're in the UK, Nina, if I remember correctly. It's 1:30 to 3 p.m. here. And I think you're, what, 6 hours ahead? So that'd be 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. your time, I believe, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, March 24th through 26th. So if you really can't make it to those live sessions, you can watch the replay in the Facebook group for a limited time. So hopefully that makes it that you can still come. Because definitely, if you feel called, then sign up and you can make it work with your, you know, with your schedules. Even I have people that are in, you know, Asia or Australia, and they're still going to sign up and watch the replays, you know, during the day their time, so they can still participate, still be part of that live group. So would love to see you there. And if you have any other questions, are there any other questions? I think I answered Nina's question there around how much to share your story. Renee, did you have any other questions? You said determination, perseverance. It's not about you, it's about them. Never give up. Difficulty is changing my career. So what do you mean by difficulty is changing my career? Is there some last question I can answer for you here, Renee? Definitely can come to the masterclass series and we can take you to that next step there. But if you do have a specific question around changing your career, I'm happy to answer it. I've helped many people who are in that process of kind of shifting from one thing to the other. So let me know, is there a specific question there? I'll give you just another minute or two to ask. Let me see if there's anything else I want to share while we're waiting. So around confidence, visibility, so you can use that self-doubt switch. We talked about when and how you can use that. And then really like putting yourself in the shoes of your ideal client, like of the person out there that you want to serve, and like what are they struggling with? What, you know, what are their desires around this area? And then really speaking to them. So when I get on these lives, I'm connecting with my ideal client. Even if you guys weren't commenting, I would still be imagining I was speaking to an ideal client. And that's how I stay out of my own way and really connected to what would be of service to you. Renee says, been a massage therapist for 30 years and want to shift to coaching. Yeah, I totally get that. So the main thing there is you want to have a transition plan. I think everything we're going to do in Magnetize would be the next step for you in terms of the mindset and the clarity and the confidence piece, because that's huge. And then you'll want to really make a transition plan from there. And I'll probably talk about that some in the masterclass series. I haven't fully outlined. I have most of what I'm going to be teaching, but I'll think about that a little bit. So you want to really see like what is, you know, first of all, what's the first offering you're going to offer, and then starting to put yourself out there and build up. A lot of people think about it as a leap, and I always say it's a transition, not a leap. So, you know, I tried to leap the first time I tried to start coaching in 2017. I was trying to leave my previous career and jump into it, and I failed completely. And I failed because I did it with not much of a plan, and I didn't have support, and I was just trying to kind of figure it out on my own. And I also failed because I tried to just stop doing my other work and jump into coaching without really having the business built up yet. So I really recommend building it up on the side, starting to get clients in your coaching while you continue with your massage therapy. And then you can slowly start letting go of clients in your massage therapy as you get your coaching offerings earning for you. Does that make sense? So that's kind of like the transition plan you're going to want to start to make, but you can't plan it all out in your head. You have to just do it through action, like just starting to put yourself out there. And that's where Magnetize will really help with, you know, anything that might be getting in the way of that. So you can really feel crystal clear and start taking those steps. All right, everyone, that's what I have for today. If there are any more questions, thank you for being here. I'll be back again next week. We have our regular live. Let me just look at what the topic is. Next week, same time, we will be talking about, let's see, the simplified business blueprint. So how to grow your business without paid ads or complicated marketing. This is a big topic that I hear a lot. People are like, I don't want to, paid advertising. I don't know, or I don't want to do all these complicated marketing strategies. So I'm going to break down a really simple step-by-step, process blueprint for how you can grow to 6 figures or more without a bunch of complicated marketing or paid advertising. So that's our topic next week. Would love to see you all there. It's at the same time, which is noon Central Time in the US, on Monday. So see you then. Thank you. Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Nina. Thanks, everybody else. Ciao.